First contact and invasion. The night sky over New Tokyo blazed with unnatural light as thousands of alien ships pierced the atmosphere. Commander Akira Tanaka stood atop the city's defense headquarters, her eyes fixed on the heavens as humanity's worst fears became reality. First contact had arrived, and it was anything but peaceful. Status report. Akira barked into her comm unit, struggling to keep her voice steady as chaos erupted in the streets below. Multiple breaches in our orbital defense grid, Commander, came the panicked reply. They're everywhere. We can't stop them. Akira gritted her teeth, her mind racing. Humanity had long prepared for this moment, but the sheer scale of the invasion was overwhelming. The aliens, dubbed Swarm for their insect-like appearance and behavior, had appeared without warning at the edge of the solar system mere hours ago. Now they descended upon Earth in numbers that defied comprehension. As Akira watched, tendrils of sickly green energy lashed out from the swarm ships, carving swaths of destruction through New Tokyo's skyline. The city's automated defense systems responded with salvos of missiles and energy weapons, but for every alien craft they managed to bring down, a dozen more took its place. Commander Tanaka, a young lieutenant, burst onto the rooftop, his uniform disheveled. We've lost contact with Beijing, London, and New York. The swarm, they're hitting every major population center simultaneously. Akira's blood ran cold. This was no mere invasion, it was an extinction event. She turned to the lieutenant, her expression grim but determined. Initiate Protocol Omega. We need to get as many people to the underground shelters as possible. As the lieutenant rushed to carry out her orders, Akira's gaze returned to the inferno consuming her beloved city. In the distance, she could see the skeletal forms of swarm ground troops pouring from their landed ships. The creatures moved with terrifying speed and precision, their bodies a nightmarish fusion of insectoid carapace and gleaming cybernetics. This is Commander Tanaka to all Earth Defense Force units. Akira broadcast on a global channel. Hold the line at all costs. Buy time for civilian evacuation. We are humanity's last hope. Over the next harrowing hours, Akira coordinated what defenses she could from her command center deep beneath the city. Reports flooded in from around the globe, tales of heroism and horror in equal measure. In Moscow, a squadron of experimental mech suits managed to bring down a swarm mothership at the cost of the entire Kremlin district. The Australian outback erupted in flames as the aliens unleashed some kind of terraforming device, turning the landscape into a hellish mirror of their own world. As dawn broke over a changed Earth, Akira finally allowed herself a moment of despair. The swarm now controlled over 70% of the planet's surface. Billions were dead or missing. Yet even in this darkest hour, she saw glimmers of hope. Pockets of resistance had formed in unexpected places, a band of survivors in the Amazon rainforest, a fortified research station in Antarctica, a fleet of civilian ships that had managed to escape Earth's orbit. Humanity was down, but not out, and Akira Tanaka swore she would lead the fight to reclaim their world, no matter the cost. As the first week of the invasion drew to a close, Akira found herself in an emergency meeting with what remained of Earth's leadership. Holographic projections flickered around the table, showing the grim faces of military commanders and heads of state from the few regions not yet overrun. The swarm's advance has slowed, General Zhang of the Chinese army reported. They seem to be consolidating their hold on captured territories rather than pressing forward. Small comfort, spat Admiral Rosario of the remnant UN space fleet. At this rate, they'll have full control of the planet within a month. Akira leaned forward, her eyes blazing with intensity. Then we have a month to find a way to stop them. What have we learned about the enemy? Dr. Ilara Voss, head of xenobiology at the European Space Agency, cleared her throat. The swarm appear to be a collective intelligence, though we've observed some form of hierarchy among them. Their technology is incredible. They're able to adapt and evolve at a rate we can barely comprehend. Which explains how they've countered every weapon we've thrown at them, Akira mused. But they can't be invincible. There has to be a weakness. The room fell silent for a moment, the weight of their situation pressing down on all present. Then, unexpectedly, a new voice joined the conversation. Perhaps I can be of assistance. All eyes turned to the hologram that had just appeared, a tall, slender figure with silvery skin and eyes that glowed with an inner light. Akira's hand instinctively went to her side-arm before she remembered that this was just a projection. "Who are you?" she demanded. "How did you access this channel?" The figure bowed slightly. "I am Zartan, last survivor of the Luminae. My people, we were among the first to fall to the swarm centuries ago. I've been pursuing them across the galaxy ever since, trying to warn others of the danger." A murmur went through the assembled leaders. Akira's mind raced with the implications. Alien life was real, and not just in the form of the monstrous swarm. Here was a potential ally, one who had faced that enemy before. "Why should we trust you?" Admiral Rosario asked, voicing the suspicion they all felt. Zartan's expression was one of deep sorrow. "Because I've seen world after world fall to the swarm. Countless civilizations, each unique and beautiful, consumed and twisted into more fodder for that endless expansion. Your world, your people, you have a fire in you that I have not seen in millennia. You may be the last, best hope for the galaxy." Akira stepped forward, locking eyes with the alien. "Then tell us, Zartan, how do we stop them?" The Luminae's hologram flickered, and for a moment Akira thought it had lost the connection. But then Zartan spoke again, his voice filled with a mixture of hope and trepidation. "There is a way, but it will require sacrifice, ingenuity, and courage beyond measure. Are you prepared for what must be done?" Akira looked around the room, seeing the determination in the eyes of Earth's last leaders. She thought of the billions who had already perished, of the countless more who would die if they failed. Her voice was steel as she replied, "We're humanity. We're prepared for anything." As Zartan began to outline his plan, Akira felt a spark of hope ignite in her chest. The road ahead would be long and perilous, but for the first time since the invasion began, she dared to believe that they had a chance. The war to reclaim Earth, to save the galaxy itself, was about to begin in earnest. Human resistance and adaptation. The underground bunker hummed with activity as Commander Akira Tanaka strode through its winding corridors. 3 months had passed since the swarm's invasion, and what remained of humanity had been forced to adapt quickly or perish. This particular facility, nestled deep beneath the ruins of the Rocky Mountains, had become the nerve center of Earth's resistance. Akira entered the main command center, her eyes immediately drawn to the massive holographic display dominating the room. It showed a real-time map of Earth, vast swaths of red indicating swarm-controlled territory. The patches of blue, representing areas still held by humans, were painfully small in comparison. "Status report," Akira called out, and the room's chatter died down as all eyes turned to her. Dr. Maya Ramos, the brilliant geneticist who had become Akira's right hand, stepped forward. "We've made a breakthrough with Project Chimera," she said, her voice tinged with excitement. "The latest batch of volunteers has shown a 78% compatibility rate with the modified swarm DNA." Akira nodded, a mix of hope and apprehension churning in her gut. Project Chimera was their most ambitious and controversial initiative, an attempt to fight fire with fire by incorporating aspects of swarm biology into human subjects. The ethical implications were staggering, but with the fate of their species hanging in the balance, they had little choice but to push forward. "And the side effects?" Akira asked, dreading the answer. Maya's expression tightened, reduced but still present, increased aggression, some memory loss. "But they're stable, Akira, and the enhancements are beyond anything we hoped for." Before Akira could respond, an alarm blared through the facility. Lieutenant Kira Chen, the head of communications, called out from her station, "Commander, with picking up a distress signal from Outpost Sigma in what used to be Eastern Europe. The main display shifted, zooming in on a small blue dot surrounded by a sea of red. A grainy video feed appeared, showing a haggard-looking man in a tattered uniform. "This is Captain Nikolai Volkov of Outpost Sigma," the man said, his voice crackling with static. "We're under heavy attack. The swarm, they've adapted again. Our weapons are barely slowing them down. We need immediate evac or..." The transmission cut off abruptly, replaced by static. The command center erupted into frantic activity as personnel scrambled to re-establish contact. Akira's mind raced. Outpost Sigma was one of their last footholds in Europe, a crucial link in their global resistance network. Losing it would be a devastating blow. But mounting a rescue operation deep in swarm territory was nearly impossible with their limited resources. It was in moments like these that Akira felt the full weight of her responsibility. Every decision she made could mean the difference between humanity's survival and extinction. "Prep a strike team," she ordered, her voice cutting through the chaos. "I want our best Chimera operatives geared up and ready to drop in 30 minutes. Maya's eyes widened. "Akira, are you sure? We haven't field-tested the chimeras in a full-scale engagement yet. The risks are worth taking," Akira finished firmly. "This is what we've been preparing for. If we can't hold the line here, we might as well surrender to the swarm now." As the command center burst into action, coordinating the high-risk rescue operation, Akira felt a presence at her side. She turned to see the shimmering hologram of Zartan, their enigmatic alien ally. "Your species continues to surprise me," Commander the Lumine said, his glowing eyes fixed on the frantic preparations. "In all my travels, I've never seen a race adapt so quickly, fight so fiercely against overwhelming odds." Akira managed a grim smile. "It's what we do best. When pushed to the brink, humans have a knack for doing the impossible." Zartan nodded sullenly. "You will need that quality in abundance for what lies ahead. The swarm is not merely an invading force. They are a galaxy-spanning plague that has consumed countless civilizations. Yet in you, I see a spark that gives me hope for the first time in eons." Before Akira could respond, Lieutenant Chen called out again. "Commander, strike team is assembled and awaiting your final briefing." With a nod to Zartan, Akira made her way to the hangar bay. As the massive blast doors slid open, she was greeted by the sight of 24 soldiers, each a product of Project Chimera. Their eyes glowed with an unnatural light, and hints of chitinous armor peeked out from beneath their tactical gear. Captain Jace Harper, leader of the Chimera squad, snapped to attention as Akira approached. Like his team, Jace's body had been enhanced with swarm DNA, granting him incredible strength, speed, and regenerative abilities. But the haunted look in his eyes spoke of the price paid for such power. "At ease, Captain," Akira said, addressing the entire team. "I won't sugarcoat this. What I'm asking of you is nothing short of a suicide mission. Outpost Sigma is deep in swarm territory, and we have no idea what new horrors the enemy has cooked up. But that outpost represents hope for millions of survivors across Europe. If it falls, we lose a critical foothold in our fight to reclaim Earth." She paused, looking each enhanced soldier in the eye. "You've all sacrificed more than anyone has the right to ask. With the gifts and burdens you now bear, you represent humanity's best chance at survival. I wish I could promise you all a safe return, but we both know that's not possible. What I can promise is this: your actions today will be remembered. Win or lose, you will give humanity hope. And sometimes that's all we need to keep fighting." Captain Harper stepped forward, his voice resonating with an inhuman timbre. "We understand the risks, Commander. Every one of us volunteered for this program, knowing it might come to this. The swarm took our world, our families, but they can't take our humanity. We'll show them what it means to mess with Earth." A chorus of agreement rippled through the assembled chimeras. Akira felt a swell of pride and sorrow as she regarded these brave men and women. heroes who had given up part of their very essence in the hope of saving their species. "Then go," Akira said, her voice thick with emotion. "Go and remind the swarm that humanity is not so easily broken. Show them the price of underestimating us. And if you can, come back to us. Godspeed, Chimera Squad." As the enhanced soldiers boarded their stealth dropship, Akira returned to the command center. She watched on the main display as the ship rocketed into the sky, quickly disappearing from conventional sensors thanks to its advanced cloaking technology. Hours passed in tense silence as the command staff waited for news. Akira paced restlessly, her mind conjuring worst-case scenarios with each passing minute. Just as the tension reached a fever pitch, Lieutenant Chen's console lit up. "Incoming transmission from the strike team," she called out. The main screen flickered to life, showing a battle-worn Captain Harper. The sounds of intense combat could be heard in the background. "Commander," Harper said, his voice strained but triumphant. "Outpost Sigma is secure. We've pushed back the swarm forces and evacuated all surviving personnel. But you need to see this." The camera panned, revealing a captured swarm creature unlike any they had encountered before. It was larger, more grotesquely mutated, with a pulsing organ visible beneath its translucent carapace. "We think this is some kind of command unit," Harper explained. "It was coordinating the attack, and when we took it down, the other swarm forces became disorganized." Akira leaned forward, her heart racing. "Bring it in, Captain. Alive if possible. This could be the breakthrough we've been waiting for." As the transmission ended, a renewed sense of purpose filled the command center. For the first time since the invasion began, they had seized the initiative. The Chimera program, for all its ethical quandaries, had proven its worth. And now, with a high-ranking swarm specimen in their possession, they had a chance to unravel the secrets of their relentless enemy. Kakura turned to Dr. Ramos, her eyes blazing with determination. "Prep your lab, Maya. We're about to take this fight to a whole new level." As the bunker erupted into a flurry of activity, Akira allowed herself a moment of cautious optimism. The road ahead was still long and fraught with danger, but humanity had proven once again that it would not go quietly into the night. The swarm had awakened a sleeping giant, and now they would face the full fury of a species fighting for its very existence. The tide of war was about to turn. The counterattack begins. The sterile air of the underground laboratory hummed with tension as Commander Akira Tanaka stared through the reinforced glass. On the other side, restrained by energy fields and surrounded by an array of scanning equipment, lay the captured Swarm Command Unit. Its grotesque form pulsed with an otherworldly rhythm, a constant reminder of the alien threat that had pushed humanity to the brink. Dr. Maya Ramos approached, her face a mix of excitement and exhaustion. "We've cracked it, Akira," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "The neural interface we developed using the Chimera program, it's allowing us to decipher the swarm's communication patterns." Akira's eyes widened. "You mean we can understand them?" Maya nodded, her expression grim. "More than that. We can interfere with their hive mind. It's not perfect, and our range is limited, but it's a start." Before Akira could respond, an alarm blazed through the facility. Lieutenant Chen's voice crackled over the intercom. "Commander to the war room immediately. We have a situation." Exchanging a worried glance with Maya, Akira sprinted to the command center. As she burst through the doors, she was greeted by a scene of controlled chaos. The main display showed a real-time satellite feed of North America, with an ominous mass of red dots converging on their location. "Report," Akira barked, her mind already racing through possible scenarios. Admiral Rosario, who had arrived from the remnants of the UN Space Fleet, stepped forward. "The swarm is on the move, Commander. Massive forces converging on our position from all directions. They know we're here." Akira's blood ran cold. Their hidden base, Earth's last major stronghold, had been compromised. "How?" she demanded. "Our stealth systems are state-of-the-art." Zartan's hologram flickered to life beside her. "It's the command unit," the alien said, his voice tinged with regret. "By capturing it alive, you've inadvertently led the swarm right to us. They're coming to reclaim their leader and destroy anything in their path." A heavy silence fell over the room as the implications sank in. They had mere hours before the full might of the swarm would be upon them. Akira's mind raced. They couldn't hope to withstand a direct assault, not with their limited forces. Evacuation would mean abandoning years of research and their best shot at turning the tide. As the weight of command pressed down on her, a desperate plan began to form. "We're not running," she declared, her voice cutting through the tension. All eyes turned to her, a mix of fear and hope on the faces of Earth's last defenders. "Dr. Ramos," Akira continued, "how quickly can you adapt our neural interface to broadcast on a larger scale?" Maya blinked, caught off guard. With the right equipment, maybe a few hours. But Akira, the power requirements would be enormous. A grim smile played at the corners of Akira's lips. "Then it's a good thing we have a fusion reactor beneath our feet." She turned to address the entire room. "Listen up. We have one shot at this. We're going to turn this base into a massive broadcaster and hit the swarm with everything we've got." As Akira outlined her audacious plan, a spark of hope ignited in the eyes of those around her. It was a long shot, bordering on insanity, but it was the only play they had left. The next few hours were a blur of frantic activity. Every available hand was put to work, transforming the underground base into an improvised psychic weapon. The captured swarm commando was integrated into the broadcast system, its alien biology serving as a conduit for their signal. As the first waves of the swarm assault hammered against their outer defenses, Akira stood in the heart of their makeshift control center. Sweat beaded on her brow as she watched the enemy forces closing in from all sides. "All systems a go, Commander," Maya reported, her fingers flying over a console. "But I have to warn you, we have no idea what this will do to our own people. The chimeras, especially, could be severely affected." Akira nodded grimly. "Send out the evacuation order for all non-essential personnel. And Maya, thank you for everything." As klaxons blared and personnel rushed to their assigned evacuation routes, Akira opened a channel to the defenders still holding the line outside. "This is Commander Tanaka to all Earth Defense Forces. You fought with courage and honor beyond measure. But now I'm asking for one last sacrifice. Hold the line. Give us the time we need. The fate of our species rests on your shoulders." She closed the channel, unable to bear the weight of sending more brave souls to their deaths. Around her, the remaining staff worked feverishly to bring their desperate plan to fruition. "Swarm forces have breached the outer perimeter," Lieutenant Chen called out, her voice strained. Akira's hand hovered over the activation switch. Everything hinged on this moment. If they failed, humanity's last, best hope would be extinguished. "May our ancestors forgive us," she whispered and threw the switch. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. A wave of psychic energy burst forth from the base, rippling across the battlefield in concentric circles. Swarm creatures stumbled and fell, their hive mind shattered by the overwhelming signal. But the cost was high. Screams echoed through the command center as the backwash of alien thoughts flooded the minds of the humans present. Akira gritted her teeth against the onslaught, fighting to maintain consciousness as reality itself seemed to warp around her. Through the haze of pain and confusion, she saw the main display flicker to life. The sea of red dots representing the swarm forces was breaking apart, individual units moving erratically or simply going dormant. "It's working," someone shouted, their voice distant and distorted. As quickly as it had begun, the psychic storm subsided. Akira found herself on her knees, gasping for breath. Around her, the command staff was slowly recovering, looks of disbelief and cautious hope on their faces. "Status report," she managed to croak out. Admiral Rosario, his usually immaculate uniform disheveled, consulted a datapad with shaking hands. swarm forces in disarray across a 500-kilometer radius. We're seeing mass confusion, infighting. Some units appear to have shut down entirely. A ragged cheer went up from the surviving staff. Against all odds, they had done it. The swarm's assault had been broken. But Akira knew this was only the beginning. "Get me a secure line to all remaining human outposts," she ordered, her voice growing stronger. Tell them Operation Mindstorm was a success. The counterattack begins now." As the command center erupted into a flurry of activity, coordinating their newfound advantage, Akira felt a presence at her side. She turned to see Zartan's hologram, the alien's expression one of awe and respect. "In all my years, Commander," the Luminae said softly, "I have never seen such courage, such adaptability in the face of overwhelming odds. You have given the galaxy a gift it scarcely deserves: hope." Akira managed a weary smile. "We're not out of the woods yet, but for the first time since this war began, we have a real chance." As reports flooded in from around the globe, tales of swarm forces in disarray, of human resistance fighters seizing the initiative, Akira allowed herself a moment to breathe. The road ahead would be long and fraught with danger, but humanity had proven once again that it would not go quietly into the night. The swarm had awakened a sleeping giant, and now they would face the full fury of a species fighting for its very existence. The tide of war had turned, and the real battle for Earth's future was about to begin. Uncovering alien secrets. The war room buzzed with a newfound energy as Commander Akira Tanaka surveyed the holographic display of Earth. Patches of blue, representing liberated territories, had begun to spread across the globe like a healing balm. It had been 3 months since Operation Mindstorm, and humanity's counterattack was gaining momentum. "Report," Akira commanded, her eyes never leaving the slowly shifting map. Colonel Jace Harper, now fully recovered from the psychic backlash of Mindstorm, stepped forward. The chimera enhancements were more pronounced now, with faint bioluminescent patterns pulsing beneath his skin. "We've secured beachheads on every continent, Commander. Resistance cells are linking up with our main forces, and we're pushing the swarm back on all fronts." Akira nodded, allowing herself a small smile. "And Project Echo." Dr. Maya Ramos joined them, dark circles under her eyes betraying countless sleepless nights. "We're making progress. The captured swarm units are proving to be a goldmine of information. We're not just learning about their biology, Akira. We're uncovering their history." This caught Akira's full attention. "Explain." Maya tapped a few commands into her datapad, and the central hologram shifted to display a series of alien glyphs and images. The swarm isn't a natural evolution. They're a weapon, one created eons ago by a species we're calling the precursors. From what we can gather, the precursors engineered the swarm as the ultimate adaptive army, capable of conquering and assimilating entire galaxies. A chill ran down Akira's spine, but something went wrong. Maya nodded grimly. The swarm turned on its creators, wiping them out and continuing its programmed expansion across the universe. It's been consuming civilizations for millions of years, growing and evolving with each conquest. The implications were staggering. Humanity wasn't just fighting for Earth, they were potentially the last line of defense for the entire galaxy. Before Akira could respond, an alarm blared through the command center. Lieutenant Chen's voice crackled over the comms. "Commander, we're detecting a massive energy surge in orbit. Something's coming through." All eyes turned to the main display as a swirling vortex of light erupted in Earth's upper atmosphere. From within the anomaly emerged a vessel of impossible size and alien design, dwarfing even the largest swarm motherships. By the stars, Zartan's hologram flickered to life, his usual calm demeanor shaken. "It cannot be." Akira whirled to face that alien ally. "You recognize that ship?" Zartan's glowing eyes were wide with a mixture of awe and fear. "It is a legend among my people, a ghost story told to frighten children. The Ark of the Precursors, said to contain the last of their kind in stasis, fleeing the very weapon they created. The command center erupted into chaos as sensor readings flooded in. The massive ship was broadcasting on all frequencies, using a language that defied conventional translation. "Get me Nicolay from linguistics," Akira shouted above the din. "I want to know what they're saying." As the staff scrambled to make sense of this new development, Akira felt a familiar presence at her side. She turned to see Admiral Rosario, his weathered face etched with concern. "Your orders, Commander?" he asked quietly. Akira took a deep breath, centering herself amidst the storm of activity. This was a pivotal moment, perhaps the most important in human history. Their next moves could determine the fate not just of Earth, but of countless worlds across the galaxy. "Prepare a delegation," she said firmly. "We're going to make contact." The next few hours were a blur of preparations. A team was assembled: Akira, Dr. Ramos, Colonel Harper, and a small contingent of their best soldiers and scientists. As they boarded the shuttle that would take them to the massive alien vessel, Akira couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking into the unknown on a scale humanity had never before encountered. The journey to the Ark was surreal. As they approached, the true scale of the vessel became apparent. It was less a ship and more a mobile world, easily large enough to house billions. A tractor beam guided their shuttle into a cavernous docking bay. As the airlock cycled, Akira turned to her team. "Remember, we're not just representing Earth here. We're speaking for every world the swarm has consumed, every species fighting for survival. Let's make it count." They stepped into the alien corridor, marveling at architecture that seemed to blend organic and technological elements seamlessly. Ahead, a group of figures approached, tall, willowy beings with iridescent skin and eyes that held the wisdom of eons. One of the aliens stepped forward, its voice resonating in their minds rather than their ears. "Greetings, children of Earth. We are the precursors, awakened from our long slumber, are the echoes of your defiance against our greatest mistake." Akira steeled herself, acutely aware of the weight of history upon her shoulders. "We come seeking alliance," she said, her voice steady. "The swarm threatens not just our world, but all life in the galaxy. Will you help us end the plague you unleashed?" The precursor's expression was unreadable, but Akira sensed a deep sadness and regret emanating from the being. "Our arrogance doomed countless civilizations," it communicated. "We have much to atone for, but perhaps in you, we have found the key to undoing our gravest error." As the human delegation followed the precursors deeper into the Ark, Akira's mind raced with possibilities. They had come seeking answers and found so much more, a chance to rewrite the story of an entire galaxy. The war for Earth had become something far greater. It was now a battle for the very future of life itself, with humanity standing at the crossroads of cosmic history. And Akira Tanaka, once a simple military commander, now found herself at the center of it all, a reluctant ambassador for her species, carrying the hopes and fears of billions on her shoulders as they stepped into a new chapter of galactic history. The revelations and alliances forged in the coming hours would shape the course of the war against the swarm, and perhaps, if they were fortunate, pave the way for a future where the stars themselves were within humanity's reach. The final battle. The war room of the Ark hummed with an energy that was both familiar and alien to Commander Akira Tanaka. Holographic displays showed the positions of Earth's forces, swarm concentrations, and the newly arrived precursor fleet. It had been 6 months since their fateful meeting, and the alliance between humans and precursors had shifted the balance of the war. Akira stood at the center of it all, her weathered face a mask of determination. Beside her, the precursor leader, now known to them as Zilix, towered over the assembled war council. "The time has come," Akira announced, her voice carrying the weight of countless battles and hard-won victories. "We've pushed the swarm back to their last stronghold. This is our chance to end this war once and for all." Colonel Jace Harper, his chimera enhancements now fully integrated and controlled, nodded grimly. Our ground forces are ready, Commander. The Chimera battalions are itching for a fight. Dr. Maya Ramos, who had been working tirelessly with precursor scientists, stepped forward. The anti-swarm bioweapon is ready for deployment. It should disrupt their hive mind and render them vulnerable. Zerlix's telepathic voice resonated in their minds. Our fleet stands ready to provide orbital support, but be warned, the swarm will fight with the desperation of a cornered beast. They will stop at nothing to ensure their survival. Akira took a deep breath, looking at each face in the room, human, Chimera, and precursor alike. What we do today will echo through history, not just for Earth, but for every world the swarm has touched. We fight not just for our survival, but for redemption, for humanity, for the precursors, for the very idea that life in this galaxy deserves a future free from fear. A chorus of agreement rippled through the assembly. As final preparations were made, Akira found a quiet moment with Zartan, the Lumine who had been with them since the beginning. "I never thought I'd see this day," Zartan mused, his holographic form flickering with emotion. "When I first encountered your species, I dared to hope. But this is beyond even my wildest dreams." Akira managed a small smile. "We couldn't have done it without you, old friend. Your knowledge, your guidance, it's been invaluable." An alert chimed, signaling that it was time. Akira straightened her uniform and made her way to the command shuttle. As they descended towards Earth, towards the final battlefield, she allowed herself one last moment of reflection. The planet below bore the scars of years of brutal conflict, but there was beauty still. Oceans glittered in the sunlight, clouds swirled in delicate patterns, and the first green shoots of recovery could be seen in areas liberated from swarm control. It was a reminder of everything they fought for. As they breached the atmosphere, the scale of the battle became clear. The sky was thick with ships, human, precursor, and swarm, locked in a deadly dance. On the ground, vast armies clashed across a landscape that had once been the heart of swarm-controlled territory. Akira's shuttle touched down at the forward command post. She stepped out into organized chaos, soldiers rushing to their positions, medics tending to the wounded, and the distant thunder of artillery fire. "Commander on deck," someone shouted, and for a moment, all activity ceased as every eye turned to her. Akira's voice carried across the assembled troops. "This is it, people. Everything we've fought for comes down to this moment. The swarm thinks it knows us, thinks it can predict our every move. But they've never faced anything like the alliance we forged. Human ingenuity, precursor technology, and the unbreakable spirit of every free being in this galaxy. That's what we bring to this fight." A roar went up from the troops, a sound of defiance and hope that seemed to shake the very earth. As Akira took her place at the command center, reports began flooding in from all fronts. The battle raged for hours, then days. The swarm fought with a ferocity born of desperation, unleashing horrors that pushed the alliance to its limits. But for every setback, there was a breakthrough. Chimera soldiers, their enhanced bodies glowing with power, tore through swarm defenses. Precursor energy weapons carved swaths through enemy ranks. And at the heart of it all, human determination refused to yield. On the third day of unrelenting combat, as the tide began to turn decisively in their favor, Akira received an urgent communication from Dr. Ramos. "Commander," Maya's voice crackled over the comm, heavy with exhaustion and excitement. "We've located it. The swarm's central node, the core of their hive mind. It's hidden in an underground complex at these coordinates." Akira's heart raced. This was it, the key to ending the war once and for all. But reaching it would require a surgical strike through the heart of swarm territory. "Colonel Harper," she called out, "assemble your best Chimera squad. We're going in." The next few hours were a blur of intense combat. Akira, alongside Harper and a team of elite Chimera soldiers, fought their way through nightmarish swarm defenses. The underground complex was a maze of organic technology, pulsing with an alien heartbeat that set their teeth on edge. Finally, they reached the central chamber. There, suspended in a web of biomechanical tendrils, was a creature unlike any they had encountered. It was massive, grotesque, and radiated an intelligence that was palpable. The swarm overmind, the living computer at the heart of their enemy's collective consciousness. As Harper's team secured the perimeter, Akira approached the creature. Its many eyes focused on her, and she felt the weight of countless millennia of conquest and consumption bearing down upon her. "You fight well, little ones," the Overmind's voice reverberated in their minds, a cacophony of countless assimilated beings. "But you cannot stop us. We are evolution incarnate. We are eternal." Akira stood firm, her voice steady as she replied, "You're a relic, a mistake, and today we correct it." With that, she gave the signal. Dr. Ramos, monitoring from the Ark, activated the bioweapon. A wave of energy pulsed through the complex, and the Overmind writhed in agony. Across the battlefield, sworn forces faltered and fell into disarray. As the creature before them began to disintegrate, Akira felt a moment of pity. For all its horror, the swarm had been a force of nature, unthinking, unfeeling, simply following its programming to consume and expand. But that moment passed quickly. There would be time for reflection later. Now, there was a war to end. As they emerged from the complex, Akira was greeted by a sight she had scarcely dared to hope for. The sky was clear of swarm ships. The ground forces were in full retreat or surrendering en masse. And rising above it all, a cheer that seemed to encompass the whole planet. Victory. After years of brutal conflict against impossible odds, humanity and its allies had prevailed. As the sun set on the battlefield, Akira found a quiet moment amidst the celebrations. She looked out over the scarred landscape, her mind already turning to the challenges ahead. The war was over, but the work of rebuilding, of forging a new future for Earth and the galaxy, was just beginning. But for now, for this moment, she allowed herself to feel the full weight of their accomplishment. They had faced extinction and emerged stronger. They had made allies among the stars, and they had proven that even in the darkest hour, hope could prevail. Commander Akira Tanaka, hero of Earth, architect of humanity's survival, closed her eyes and breathed deeply. The air, for the first time in years, smelled of peace. A new era for humanity. 5 years had passed since the fall of the swarm Overmind, and Earth was a planet transformed. As Commander Akira Tanaka stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed Unity station in low Earth orbit, she marveled at the view below. Where once there had been scarred battlefields and ruined cities, now stood gleaming metropolises that blended human ingenuity with precursor technology. Vast swathes of the planet were being systematically restored, with reforestation projects and revitalized ecosystems spreading like a green tide across the continents. "Quite a view, isn't it?" a familiar voice said behind her. Akira turned to see Dr. Maya Ramos, now the head of the Galactic Sciences Initiative. The years had been kind to Maya, the stress lines of war replaced by the eager look of a scientist with an entire universe to explore. "Sometimes I still can't believe we made it," Akira admitted, her voice soft with wonder. Maya nodded, joining her at the window. "And now look at us. We're not just rebuilding Earth, we're reaching for the stars." It was true. In the years since the war's end, humanity had undergone a renaissance unlike anything in its history. The alliance with the precursors had opened up technologies beyond their wildest dreams. Faster than light travel, once the stuff of science fiction, was now commonplace. Colony ships were venturing to nearby star systems, planting the seeds of a burgeoning human interstellar civilization. But it wasn't just technological advancement that marked this new era. The shared struggle against the swarm had fundamentally changed humanity's perspective on its place in the universe. Commander Tanaka, Dr. Ramos, a voice interrupted their reflection. They turned to see Zartan, no longer a mere hologram, but present in his physical form, a gesture of trust and friendship from the Luminae. "The delegation is ready," Zartan informed them. "It's time." Akira took a deep breath, straightening her formal uniform. Today marked another milestone in humanity's journey, the official induction of Earth into the newly formed Galactic Cooperative. As they made their way to the Grand Assembly Hall, Akira reflected on the ironies of history. The swarm, created to conquer, had instead united. Species that might have spent millennia in isolation were now coming together, bound by shared experience and a desire to forge a better future. The assembly hall was a marvel of architecture, its soaring crystal dome offering a panoramic view of Earth and the star-studded expanse beyond. Representatives from 100 worlds filled the chamber, humans rubbing shoulders with precursors, Luminae, and a dozen other species that had emerged from hiding after the swarm's defeat. As Akira took her place at the podium, a hush fell over the assembled delegates. She looked out at the sea of faces, so different in form, yet united in purpose, and began to speak. "Distinguished representatives, honored guests, fellow citizens of the galaxy, we stand here today not just as survivors, but as architects of a new future. The war against the swarm tested us all, pushed us to our limits and beyond. But in our darkest hour, we discovered a truth that will forever shape our destiny. We are stronger together." She paused, letting her words sink in before continuing. "Earth joins the Galactic Cooperative not just as a member, but as a symbol of what can be achieved when we set aside our differences and unite against common threats. But our work is far from over. Even now, our scientists and explorers are venturing into the unknown, seeking to understand and heal the scars left by millennia of swarm occupation across our galaxy." Akira's voice grew passionate as she outlined the challenges and opportunities that lay ahead. Plans for massive terraforming projects to reclaim worlds ravaged by the swarm, joint scientific initiatives to unlock the secrets of the universe, cultural exchange programs to foster understanding between species that had evolved on opposite sides of the galaxy. "But perhaps our greatest challenge," she continued, her tone softening, "is to remember the lessons of our recent past, to remain vigilant against the temptations of power and the dangers of unchecked ambition. The swarm began as a tool, a weapon created by those who thought they could control the uncontrollable. It is our responsibility to ensure that such a catastrophe never threatens our galaxy again." As Akira concluded her speech, the chamber erupted in applause. The formal signing ceremony that followed felt almost anticlimactic after the emotional weight of the moment. Earth was now officially part of something greater than itself, a community of worlds united in pursuit of knowledge, peace, and mutual prosperity. Later, as the celebrations wound down, Akira found herself back on the observation deck. Colonel, now General, Jace Harper joined her, his chimera enhancements a reminder of the price paid for their victory. "So, Commander," Harper said with a wry smile, "think we'll ever get used to peace?" Akira chuckled. "I'm not sure peace is the right word, Jace. We've still got a galaxy to rebuild, unknown threats to face, but at least now we're facing them together." As if to emphasize her point, a massive precursor ship glided past the station, its sleek form a stark contrast to the utilitarian human vessels nearby. In its wake, a swarm of smaller craft darted about, a joint human Luminae expedition preparing to embark on a mission to the galactic core. "You know," Harper mused, "back when we were fighting for our lives in those bunkers, I never imagined we'd end up here, rubbing elbows with aliens, planning interstellar colonies. It's like something out of an old sci-fi novel." Akira nodded, her eyes fixed on the blue-green orb of Earth below. "We've come a long way, but in many ways, our journey is just beginning." As the station continued its orbit, Akira Tanaka, war hero, diplomat, and now one of humanity's representatives to the galaxy at large, allowed herself to feel a sense of true hope. The road ahead would not be easy. There would be challenges, setbacks, and new threats to face. But humanity had proven its resilience, its capacity for growth and adaptation. They had survived the crucible of near extinction and emerged stronger, wiser, and ready to take their place among the stars. Whatever the future held, Akira knew one thing for certain: it would be an adventure unlike any other. As the first light of a new day crept over Earth's horizon, Commander Akira Tanaka smiled. The next chapter in humanity's story was about to begin, and the possibilities were as endless as the stars themselves.